And here we go.
Sox for the win! Oh, yes! Oh, yes!
Jesperson, half-court lead for the win!
Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship!
And the next stop on the Purdue Redemption Tour is the Final Four!
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the D1 and Done Pod. This episode brought to you by the official Mountain West and SEC correspondent, the benefactors of the pod, the Hagen Hall Boys. You can follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram pages. Also, give us a follow on our YouTube and TikTok pages as well, as we have the short versions of our show in smaller, morsel-sized versions. For those of you who don't have long attention spans, that's what those are for, to get your shorter versions of the D1 and Done Pod. I'm Robbie Donahoe. With me, as always, Nick Mills, Dusty Mills, and the national champion of the pod, producer Jake. Congratulations to the Florida Gators, your 2025 NCAA men's basketball national champions. So let's not waste any time here. Jake, what was it like to have your mighty Gators hoist the trophy at the end and anoint themselves national champions for the third time in program history?
You know, and first of all, one hell of a year. So happy that I could, come and join you guys and be a part of this for the run. That way we have another, 2 for 2 1 years of having a team in the Final Four. So showing out for the pod. But, it's one of those things where I wasn't necessarily old enough to remember my fanhood as passionate and loving as it is to the Gators for the 06-07. I remember both title games in both Final Fours vividly, but don't get to, experience as you grow up. And I'm 28, so I get to experience it as like an adult and get to ride with them. It's an unreal feeling. I think I've watched One Shiny Moment every night before I go to bed. It's just kind of like a happy feeling, just cannot believe that this is going on. And the portal stuff has started, which I know we'll get into later. But it was also the first time for this season for these Gators. I got to watch them at home against Virginia, sitting courtside essentially. I got to watch them at Rupp Arena on the road, and then neutral site games in the at the SEC tournament, and then as well as had the opportunity, decided not to last minute, to go to the Final Four as well. We had actually most of us had watched this all 6 games in the same spots, same chairs, same people. Didn't want to break that streak and go down there and have a solo celebration or even a solo sad day of travel by going to the Final Four. But just one hell of a year. I mean, you talk about a team that last year losing at the buzzer. I was in attendance to lose at the buzzer against Colorado in the tournament. And you watch, Walter Clayton and Will Richard bring in Elijah Martin. You have these guys that, they weren't these number 1, number 2, number 3 recruits in terms of out of high school, let alone in the portal. And it just showed that you have also with Todd Golden, a 39-year-old guy who has dealt with his fair share of off-the-court problems already, and to still hoist a national championship in that same season, just an absolute, something I'll never forget, but also just a great feeling, and to embrace it for the next, especially for the next 9-10 months, and be like, we're the kings of college basketball, and we have a 39-year-old coach, and most of this team is coming back. We lose the three guards, of course, all due to eligibility, but I think the future is even brighter. But just one hell of a season, happy as hell as can be. It is great to be a Florida Gator, and just the relationships I've built through Florida in the last year, I think are some of the coolest parts too. I got a text from Patrick Young after the national championship, who I got to meet during before and after the Virginia game. So just to have the recognition with him, to know there's a Gator fan there. I've friends with the Florida Basketball Hour podcast guys, been messaging with them, and just an absolute just surreal feeling, and it almost feels like it didn't happen at moments. Like you're almost like, holy crap, is it real? Is it really happened? But end of the day, it's like, yeah, we're national champs, and in your last 4 games are 4 games that we literally should have lost at any moment, and they make a run, they make shots, and it was just the absolute comeback, and just to hoist it up at the end is, I'm still on cloud 9. It's been just over a week, so go Gators.
Pretty incredible. I mean, it's great that an up-and-coming sports university like Florida can finally feel what it's like to win a national title in something. It's something that they really haven't enjoyed in like less than a decade. So Very, very happy for you and for all the Florida fans that exist. One of my good pals, his wife is a big Florida fan, so
Yeah.
she was ecstatic. So I was happy for her. But
You're
overall,
friends with Scott Van Pelt?
I was say I didn't know Van Pelt until this tournament. I didn't know Van Pelt's wife was a Gator grad.
oh no, I'm not friends with Van Pelt. No, it's a different friend who, by the way, I actually worked with in television. So I guess there is some correlation there. But I guess Dusty, I'll ask you. You know, you are a former Florida fan. You were a big-time Gator during the back-to-back national championship years. What was it like for you seeing kind of everything come full circle 17, 18 years later when they first got it started with that run there?
So, yeah, Jake talked about being very young. The '06 national title, I was at the Final Four and the national championship game. Saw one shining moment in the RIP RCA Dome live with my dad. My dad, who is the Kentucky person of our family we've talked about and moved my fandom in multiple ways that we've discussed. That way, had to wait in line for a Florida championship shirt as I was watching one shining moment. '07, we watched them beat Ohio State while in Disney World, and I had to watch it in a bedroom by myself because I didn't want family not understanding the severity of the emotion going through it. And then, as we briefly talked, my breakup with my ex was in 2014 on a sad Sunday afternoon on a rainy day in Dallas when I officially jumped to Kentucky. With Florida, it was cool to watch. They are. I will admit this. I'm pumped for them. I'm pumped an SEC team won, honestly. I truly wasn't emotionally pulled, which makes me feel like okay, it was a clean breakup. I was pumped for Jake because Jake's emotions during it was amazing, and there were times in the game where I was rooting for Florida. I was rooting for Houston. I was cheering for Florida for Jake, but if Houston won that game, I probably would have been just as pumped. So it was cool to see. I'm pumped for them. What Todd Golden has done quickly in 3 years there is pretty impressive. But as a fan, that run, which if we do get to the over and underachievers of the year, remember I had Florida unranked. I'm pretty sure I said they would even make the tournament. So college basketball expert over here. So that's just my fault. I'm pumped for you, Jake. So I mean those emotions are amazing. I've had 3 times in college basketball. It was, again, those 2 years being live when I was still on the fence with my relationship of Kentucky in 2012 at the Superdome. It was just awesome to watch. And those players gelled so well together. And you could tell from that 4-game stretch, they wanted it so bad. I'm talking about the last 4 games, obviously not the whole 6 games. But that high from the SEC championship, I felt like just carried on into that tournament.
It felt like that just this Florida team was not going to lose. They were going to find a way to win every game. And it was difficult since the round of 32 for them. I mean, UConn played great. Maryland was tough in the first half before Florida ran away. Texas Tech had that double-digit lead in the second half. Then you get to the Final Four. I mean, this Florida team just defied odds at every single moment. And Nick, I know all of the focus will go on Walter Clayton and the big shots that he made, but it seemed like every single game you had someone new step up, whether it was Elijah Martin, Will Richard, Thomas Houck. Condon didn't play great in the tournament, but still had some big moments where they needed him. It felt like everyone knew their role on this team, and when the big moment had arrived, it was time for someone to step up, and someone always did.
First of all, I just want to say shout out to his podcast. The national championship was, 10 days ago? And we're finally doing the podcast now, so congratulations to us.
Hey, we have to celebrate a title when it comes. It doesn't happen often,
That's a good
so
point.
we're going to take that amount of time to make sure we truly appreciate it.
Yes, Jake just got back yesterday from the celebration, but yeah, Rob,
If Purdue wins a title, we're taking 6 months off.
Well, I might be sober right now for the first time since we won the Natty. So it's been one hell of a party.
Love it.
Yeah, but yeah, you guys been kind of laying out like this might be one of the most like this national champion I just never saw this coming. Like we look at the grand scheme of it, right? Because Todd Golden, year 3 at Florida, and it's like Todd Golden was like a Shaka Smart or a Brad Stevens coming out of San Francisco, right? It was not like this highly coveted, coach you get, okay? And he
didn't make like a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 with Sam
Right,
Fran.
he didn't have
He didn't have that.
I think he made one tournament at San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think anything more than that. So again, the fact he's won Natty in his third year at Florida is insane. And on top of everything else, like again, we talk about all year how great the SEC was. But I think up until mid-late February, the teams we talked about in the SEC were Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, and I think Kentucky, Florida, and I'm sure I'm missing somewhere, kind of like in that
Missouri, maybe
1B kind of tier the whole year. And then Florida, I think it really, when they won at Auburn, it got people's attention. And then when they smoked Bama at Bama again, when they kept just stacking wins, and obviously the SEC tournaments really when their hype took off. So again, it just kind of didn't come out of nowhere, but it kind of just kept building. And then finally, you get to the Final Four. It's not like it's the 2020 Final Four where Florida's like the only one seed left. No, it's the four best teams left. You have Duke with Cooper Flag, Samson trying to get his first, and then Auburn with Pearl trying to get his first, no more overall seed. And yet the third-year coach, Florida, pulls it out. Well, again, a team that was, preseason 20th, 22nd?
I thought I looked up. I think we were 21st preseason, or we were 21st in the first ranking. I can't remember which one it was. And Pearl Golden comes from Pearl. He's a Pearlite.
Yeah,
that was the other cool part.
And just because, obviously you want to win a national championship, Jake. But if you pulled all four fan bases of Final Four, I think Florida fans will have accepted the loss, the easiest of the four teams.
Yeah.
And the fact they're the ones that come out on top is just what a year. Now Todd Golden's on some short list of the best coaches in America. And again,
Hey, the man.
Someone stepped up every game. It was Will Richard and Natty. Walter Clayton didn't play his best game. Florida offensively didn't. But their defense stepped up, most notably on the last couple possessions. That's a tough loss for Houston, but congratulations, Jake. Even 10 days later, I still can't believe it. It was such a fun ride with you.
What was it? Was it 5 straight possessions and 5 turnovers for Houston? If I'm not mistaken, 4. Okay.
4 straight possessions, 4 no shots, and 4 turnovers, and they had 5 turnovers in total up until the under 4 timeout in the game. So they almost matched their turnovers in the last.
And I'm sure everyone's seen this clip, but we'll bring it to fruition again. The sad clip of that final possession of just watching Kelvin Sampson literally being speechless on the sideline. It's like watching your dream just die. I hate using that word. Just collapse in front of you. That's not a better word, but you know what I mean. Just fall. Sure. You built. It's like watching It's like watching you're playing Jenga. So you thought you pulled a perfect piece, and before the next person plays, it just slowly just topples to the side. That's literally what Kelvin was doing.
Dusty, they didn't get a shot off, so they didn't even pull a piece. It just fell.
Wait. It's like the four of us are playing, and it went from Robbie, Nick, me, Jake, and Nick had pulled the piece, and then we wait 5 seconds. He's like, okay, Nick's turn's over, and I just started to move towards it, and then just the wind just gusted through.
Yeah.
And the wind gusted all the Florida defenders to your point guards, and no one could get the shot off. And okay, can we talk real quick? Should he be able to pick up the ball and chuck it there, Jake? And this is different from your argument about can you kind of
your feet and dribbling.
Yes, because the more I watch that play, if he do you think the refs have called a dead ball? I really don't know because I've watched. I feel 100 times since it happened.
So if he would have grabbed it,
yeah.
If he would have grabbed it, the call should be the travel, of course. And right. I think and that's why I think, Robbie, I don't know if you're there, but I think you should be, as long as you catch with your base and then jump up and then decide to dribble, you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I know that's a rule that's changed since I was young. We were all younger, but because you used to be able to do that. But the fact that you couldn't, but I think the fact that he released it out of his hands, it's either a shot or a pass, and so he can't grab it.
Well, he can't, if it's a shot, by rule, I thought it was a shot because you can catch your own air ball if they deem it a shot.
Yeah, if it's up to the.
If they deem it a pass, you can't catch your own pass.
Correct.
Yeah, and then the other thing about that play was the ground that Walter Clayton made up to even get to that spot, because it was a really good play call. Emmanuel Sharp had a look, but if Emmanuel Sharp just shot fakes it, he has a wide open 3 to win the national championship.
He probably hits it.
And he probably makes it, more than likely. So that's why it's literally inches that decide who ends up winning a national title. either team would have been more than deserving of winning the crown. It was, I mean,
Well, not the crown. That's a different prestigious
I
tournament.
apologize.
Nebraska ball.
The March Madness crown, yes. Which, by the way,
Thank you, Nick.
congratulations to Nebraska finally winning something in basketball. They can't win a tournament game, but they can win the basketball crown.
Well, they can't make the Big Ten tournament actually. But
They can't even do that either. You're right. I should have been more specific. But I think that the moment that game changed.
If you're gonna crown them, crown them.
The moment that game turned was when JoJo Tugler picked up his fourth foul. And that's when they lost the ability to be able to switch simply through their guards and through their big men to play Walter Clayton, to play Elijah Martin. And you saw kind of something change in that moment where it was, okay, here's the time. It's like, remember that moment when Brad Stevens is like, they have a zoom in shot on him and he's saying like, now. And it was that moment. It was like something clicked with that Florida team. It was like, this is going to happen for him. And it's crazy because Joe Tugler is not a great offensive player, but he's so valuable for that Houston team defensively.
Except on inbounds.
Well, that too. Well, don't swipe at the ball, Joe. You dingus. But regardless, what was overall I wouldn't say a disappointing tournament, but maybe not as exciting of a tournament as we maybe were hoping for. It was probably one of the best Final Fours and national title games combined we've had in a long time. I can't, to be honest with you, I can't remember a better 3-game stretch of the Final Four ever, to be honest.
I thought it was a tough tournament for a. I hate using this word because I'm not me and the like disrespect for it. It was a tough tournament for casual fans who wanted something the bitches have in the Reds game, who wanted to see the upsets and the Cinderella and all that stuff. And I completely understand that. And I get that. And I think it's cool where people like, my wife who doesn't care at all what happens besides hopefully Kentucky wins, so everyone's in a good mood. That was the tough part of the first weekend, but I would even say the Elite Eight games, even the Duke-Bama was a fun game. It was just, even when Bama pulled back into it. So the tournament as a whole I thought was awesome, but I understand why people are like, oh, what a letdown. Not March Madness. But, yeah, that Final Four and championship game were sensational at the very least.
Well,
the Houston-Duke game we'll remember our entire lifetimes.
For sure. And one thing I want to point out about, for you casual viewers out there, I think what made this kind of tournament very special as well is that you had so many teams that were very, very good that look at the the Duke-Alabama game. You never felt Bama was out of it. And there wasn't these necessarily buzzer beaters. I think we had one technically with Queen. But you had how many games where a team flipped? Again, Florida did it 5 times. And you had other teams that did it 3 or 4 times. You had Houston versus Purdue. You had these games where there was this back and forth, teeter-totter seesaw coming on where a team may be up 4 or 5, and next thing you know, they take the lead with 2 minutes left. So it wasn't
Arkansas, Texas Tech.
Yeah, it wasn't the final. Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the final necessarily 30 seconds that were just absurd. And I think of Van Gundy and Furman, Virginia. I just think of his face when they cut over to him. And you don't have those moments, but you had these incredible games throughout, starting on that first Thursday where there was these changes of just momentum switch. Yeah, it was at the 5 or 6 minute mark versus the 30-second mark. But that's what also too made these games just there's so many games you can go back and watch. They're like, wow, that was actually a hell of a game. But it ended with reviews and a 6-point victory, so it didn't feel that way. So you missed that's what that focus is on. But for the casual fan, this is one of the most talented years of basketball I think we've had in terms of top teams across the board, especially in my lifetime.
Auburn, Michigan was another one. Michigan led in the second half, and then Auburn blitzed them in the second half of that game. Even Creighton blowing out Louisville, and then Creighton showing up and playing well against Auburn, but Auburn just basically it's almost like swatting away a fly. Go away, go away. We're up 8-10 throughout, and they never got any closer. It was there were those kinds of games where it was just, it was almost like that whoa moment. What just happened? And that was what was impressive about the tournament was there was many of those games where just kind of those big swing kill shot runs at 10-0 runs, 15-0 runs, 15-2 runs, things like that really changed the landscape of every single game. So, for the casual fan, maybe not the greatest tournament in terms of upsets and buzzer beaters. And as you mentioned, Derek Queen had the one true buzzer beater. But, I mean, you had a lot of great moments down the stretch with how Walter Clayton ended games, especially the one against Texas Tech that was incredible. The way they ran it against UConn. Obviously, the end of the Purdue-Houston game was exciting. So we had plenty of great moments, and I think that will be kind of what we remember it by. But the fact that you get all 4 1 seeds in the Final Four in Florida, the 4th 1 seed is the one that ends up winning it all. Pretty dang
Well,
impressive.
real quick, I'll say my 3 favorite moments from the tournament are going to be, to me, the Walter Clayton going from the frickin' block to the 3-point line.
Running
Really
out
that.
and shooting. Yeah.
Number 2 will be Walter Clayton, also that baseline or base to sideline 3-pointer in the Final Four.
With Baker Mazzara, like literally, you cannot play that. You can't defend that any better. And he switched.
That shot him up a stock or his NBA draft stock alone.
Yeah, he went up like 10 spots on draft boards from that shot. And number 1, I still think the Kelvin Sampson reaction to that upset, which I mean that's the game of the tournament. Gators, there we go, national champs. That game that finished is still the most amazing thing of that tournament. But what an amazing tournament!
So the Duke collapse doesn't make your top 3 favorites?
Oh no, I said moments.
Okay, fair enough.
I guess, yeah, if you want to rank like games, that Duke Houston game is probably the best game.
I mean, I just think of flag airball in the shot, kind of, or I guess brick in the shot is probably what I'll think of first.
Oh yeah, the number 1 overall pick. Just going 6'7" to the lane.
Which shout out.
He's young. He hasn't hit puberty yet. He can't. His legs aren't ready. Sorry. Go ahead.
He hasn't declared yet either, has he?
I don't think he has.
I saw Canup
officially.
Con declared yesterday.
I think so. It sounds like Flag is waiting to see who gets the number 1 pick.
I love this.
Which would be like that's a legitimate like if it's the Wizards, he's probably like hell no. Like send me some of that.
So you think he wants it to be the Jazz?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Can I just say, I think that'd be really stupid to not go this year.
Oh, extremely.
I wouldn't, because the arguments of the teams are bad. First of all, those shitty teams are gonna be shitty next year. So we can play this game forever, Cooper. And second, like the whole idea is you want to get to that big contract as soon as you can. That second.
Well, yeah, because if you want to play how much you can make next year, I'm sure there's some Duke booster that could say we'll pay you. I'm gonna make up a number. $12 million to come back to Duke. Okay, that's a 1-year, one-time salary. The NBA is going to give you what I think rookies are 4 years guaranteed.
4 years.
4 years with a 5th-year option.
And then you get that. And then you get that rookie max off top of that.
Right.
Well, and then you have more. You have more deals coming in as well for, from Nike or who'd he sign with, New Balance, right?
Yeah.
So you have all that. That's going to rise as well.
I'll be honest. Cooper Flag going to the Wizards would actually make Washington probably a playoff team. That team is not terrible. Like Alex Sarr is a really good player. Jordan Poole has put up decent numbers there. I mean, like they've got some good pieces there. So I think adding a guy like him actually would make a lot of sense. Weirdly enough,
the Horse at least be fun. LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Cooper Flag would be.
That would be crazy too.
Wild.
Yeah.
A little culture shock for Cooper.
Well,
because he's coming from Durham, and he's basically in this bubble.
No, that was a white racist joke. Just that. Cooper
I'm glad you said it, not me. But yes, I knew what you were going.
Has a little more hip hop in him, and I mean that in the most endearing way for, LaMelo. But I just see Cooper Flag walking the most white boy ever, and.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Hey, hey, brotherins.
Hey, brotherins. Yes.
And no, dog, just go ball out.
Let's put a bow on the entire season then. What are some of your takeaways? What are your final thoughts on the year? Nick, I'll start with you. What do you take away from this 2024-25 college basketball season?
First of all, again, we just mentioned the Final Four is probably what we're going to think about the most. I forgot to say this earlier. All 3 games, the team losing at halftime won in the Final Four, which is kind of crazy.
That's wild.
There's no way that's ever happened before.
No chance.
That's what I'm thinking.
In all 3.
My funniest moments of the years later on. But when I think of the season, the main things would be the National Player of the Year race. I think it's probably the best ones we've had in a while. Just like the no one overall pick versus Janai Broom on the best team, or for most of the year, the best team in the country. Those are pretty cool race. I think the whole year one coaches doing well at their new schools, Dusty May, John Calipari, Mark Pope, Pat Kelsey, Jaron DeVries for a hot second there. He was really fun at West Virginia.
Who replaced Pope?
Oh, thank you, Kevin Young, Kyle
Yeah,
Young.
Kevin
Young. Young.
Kyle Young.
And then
Kyle
the
Young.
other thing I'll
It's
remember,
Kevin. It's Kevin Young.
Kevin
Is it
Young.
Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin Young.
They all whites look the same. But the other thing I'll always remember is, we already mentioned the coaches, is the hysterical coaching carousel of the year. The IU situation with them chanting Fire Woodson,
At
and then
halftime.
DeVries, backdoors West Virginia like that, and then Kevin Willett at Maryland. All of that I'll remember about this season. It was all hysterical. What a fun year. I enjoyed it very much.
Dusty, what's your final thoughts on this past season then?
It was so much fun. It was nostalgic in a sense. I was thinking about when Duke and all that, which, by the way, Cooper Flag, I apologize to you because I forgot that you won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Player of the Year awards. So I'm just giving you credit for going to be an amazing player, and you'll be fine in Charlotte if we get there.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
But watching Duke lose, it does have to be hard thinking about let's just say Cooper Flag, and he's sitting there saying, "Okay, I know I'm about to go to the NBA. I'm going to make all this money. I'm going to make more money than I know what to deal with." But he thinks back to a random January. I'm making this up. I don't have the schedule for me. January 12th at Boston College, and just thinking about those fun nights and that college experience and how cool that is. That's the thing that I love so much about college basketball that you don't really think about. Or Robbie's a big Purdue guy. Braden Smith randomly playing at road trip to go play Minnesota in Minneapolis and playing in the barn, and that hostile environment where you're with your boys the entire time. That's what I love about the sport so much. And this year just seemed very special because of how top heavy it got. And I know NIL and the transfer portal changes all of that, but it was just a fun season in general. So I thought it was a unique year. As a Kentucky fan, it was awesome to see Mark Pope come in and rebuild that not rejuvenate that program, as we've talked all year. Robbie, I'm pumped for you since I said Braden Smith, for him to come back, because I would be stunned if part of him coming back wasn't people saying, "Hey, you're going to make money. You got one more year, enjoy." I saw Jake back to Florida. I don't know if you saw this, but Joakim Noah was on a podcast a few weeks ago. I think it was pre-national championship. They were talking about that whole team coming back. And I knew this part 10 years ago, but Corey Brewer was one that didn't come from let's just say financially stable family. And they all wanted to come back. And I guess Corey went back to his home in Tennessee, talked to his dad, who was sick at the time. And he just was like, "Hey, son, we've never had money. Go have fun in college." And I guess Corey went back and said to him, "Hey, let's do it one more time." And that's when Joakim and Al were both going to be top. Joakim was going to be number 1 pick. Al Horford was going to be top 10 pick at the time. Kevin were like, "Okay, let's just do this again and run it back." And they were like, "We have one more year to enjoy college and have fun," which is funny because Noah in the same podcast said that year was not fun because there was nothing but pressure the entire time. But that's what I love about college sports in general. So just what a fun season. And on April 17th next year, we're going to be saying the same thing. But I just love the sport so much. That's why we do this.
Agreed. Jake, any other overarching themes from this past year that you can point to outside of Florida winning it all then?
Well, and one thing and this is kind of about the season, but also as this landscape, one thing that I've really enjoyed about college basketball, and you guys might see right here. So I have a TBT team that I have every year. And during those broadcasts, for example, they're constantly showing what each player will get if they win the championship and what each player's getting, in terms of financial. When the ball's tipped for these games, I'm very happy that, especially this year in college basketball, the NIL stuff isn't discussed. And I think that is huge in terms of just the culture of the sport, because as Dusty was saying, you're traveling the road up to the barn to Minnesota in the freezing January. This sport is so much about off the court as it is on the court, within cultures and community and friendships. Nick will help remind me, is it the Georgia Tech or Wake Forest? So it's 2 schools I'm thinking of, where the player at the end of the year was in tears and they asked about his favorite memory from the season. Boston College, a couple years ago. This is my favorite memory this year. He's in tears. He's like, I don't know, getting team meals with my buddies. And it's just so much about wins and losses, and they affect fan bases and whatnot. But the culture of college basketball and where it's heading, in a sense, with the free agency market and whatnot, but to have to watch, just young guys and they're from 17 like Flag up to your now Macon Rosario is going to be 26 next year. You have these early 20-year-old guys and late teens that there's so much more about it. And I think college basketball does a great job of just embracing it and not letting the money talks and everything dictate a broadcast, dictate a game, and dictate the narrative about the games that are being played. And I thought that, I was kind of expecting a major culture switch in terms of how we talk about these players on and off the court. And to see that there's still some truth behind that, still some truth behind, just going out there and playing and representing your school and the name on the front. There's still that piece there that we can always grab onto and grasp. And that's one thing I was very excited about it this year is because I was expecting, here's the starting lineup, and then your starting lineup graphic, it has what their dollar amount is next to each player. Like some stupid stuff's going to get to that at some point, but I'm glad that it hasn't yet, and that these guys, again, we watched one of the best college basketball seasons we've ever seen in terms of just the depth, the teams, who's good, who's dominant, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night games. Hell, there was a top 15 matchup for the Big 12 on ESPN Plus. Like the fact that you just have these games everywhere all year, and I love that we got to embrace it and watch it. And it's my favorite sport on earth, and I'm glad that I can crown myself as champions and the Gators champions. And you know what? Now we're looking ready to go for next year, and I just hope that the love of college basketball stays the same for these teams and these players continually.
And next year we plan on doing a live broadcast in Indy when Purdue's supposedly going to be there.
Not supposedly, they are already there.
We have a studio already locked in downtown. For Final Four next year, by the way.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
It's going to be awesome when the entire Purdue team can join us and talk about their Sweet 16 experience.
Robbie, what are you going to remember this season?
I'm going to remember Dusty's dumbass saying that Braden Smith wasn't any good.
And that Florida was not going to even make the tournament. Yeah, two tough ones there.
I'll remember a number of things. I'll remember Dusty's confrontation with Mississippi State fans, and that leading to Brian Haydad coming onto the pod. That was a lot of fun. We definitely pushed some buttons, which that's what every good podcast does. You want to make it interesting. I think
I lost my bell. I think my wife moved it for obvious reasons. But
well, here let me.
Why do you have a cowbell right handy?
This is my cowbell from when I covered Mississippi State athletics. Yes, it has all of my stickers from when I covered it there. So I had all stickers from all sorts of games and such. Yes, it has a DG sticker, which was a girl that I was kind of talking to at the time, but no longer because I found a better one. So, but I think obviously the big story is, all 4 one-season Final Four, Auburn having a great season, not being able to finish it off. Duke having a great season, not being able to finish off. I think the bigger story is it was the teams that made big splashes in the transfer portal. Where did that end up taking them? Kansas State had one of the biggest NIL budgets, couldn't make the tournament. IU had one of the biggest NIL budgets, couldn't make the tournament. Baylor, same instance, couldn't make the tournament.
Kansas.
You have Kansas. AJ Storr was a disaster. This team was awful. Like you're going to have more coaches. I would even throw Rutgers in there. They have 2 top 5 picks on their team. Couldn't even make it to the NCAA tournament. Like, that's crazy. But it's the bigger focus on roster continuity and building up the guys that you have and that stick around. That kind of continuity is going to make a big difference down the road. And I think those are the kinds of teams you have to look towards as being potential championship winners. That's why I harp so much on Purdue being a big-time national title contender, because they bring back everyone and you add pieces to areas of weakness that this team had. And
one of the top transfers and probably the top 2 international player.
So Omer Meyer, Oscar Clough, then you bring in the guy from North Florida as well who shoots 42% from 3 on high volume. Those are the kinds of things that Purdue needed to address, and now they're here. So this was always going to kind of be a bridge year for Purdue, but also kind of a bridge year just for me in general, was getting through the season of enjoying how incredible Zach Edey was, making it to a national title, getting to watch them play in a Final Four, and then going through the incredible highs and lows of this team, getting back into the top 5, then losing 4 straight, then me getting sick, then not wanting to come back on the pod, then coming back on the pod, making it to a Sweet 16, watching my heart get ripped out in front of myself while we lose to Houston. Like, it's just this crazy roller coaster of emotions, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because it's college basketball, and I love it to the end no matter what happens. So,
Wait, so were you watching the game in that mirror?
What?
You said you watched your heart get ripped out watching yourself.
I watched my heart. Well, I should have just said it once. I watched my heart get. Oh, yeah. I had a mirror in front of me after the play happened. So yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to next season already. Before we get to next season, maybe give me a surprise / disappointment / something that you'll remember this season from overall. I've already kind of given my moments of Dusty and with Mississippi State and Braden Smith and just the crazy highs and lows of the season. For the record, by the way, I finished 1-5 watching Purdue live this year, so not great.
You got one though, so you know you're not the problem.
I did get one, which was the first one. My
who was
wife
it against?
and I, New Orleans.
Okay.
First game of the season. No, New Orleans Corpus Christi. It was Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I saw them first game of the year when they played at Purdue. That was the only game I got to see them win. So not a great season of watching the Boilermakers. But Nick, I know you keep track of all of these. So I want you to begin with kind of either your funnies of the year or things that are really going to stand out from the season.
First of all, you mentioned disappointment before I get my funnies. Cincinnati basketball, I'm looking at you, Wes Miller.
Dan Skillings!
I believe so much. But yes, Robbie, despite all that, despite Kentucky losing to Cal in his return, despite Purdue's up and downs, we did have funny moments throughout the year. So, Robbie, I just did off the top of my head my favorite moments of the year. I'm going to rip through them. And, of course, I have the overall winner at the end.
Oh, yes.
First off, horseplay. That was an amazing way to kick off the season. For those who don't remember, Auburn played a road game at Houston. They took, I believe, either a private jet or the flight only had a team on it. The flight had to get turned around and land. And the description the pilot gave to Command Center was, quote, "There's horseplay going on the plane," close quote. So I don't know what it was. I don't know what horseplay entails. It was not a fight. Don't say fight. Don't say the F word.
Right.
Horseplay. And then they won at Houston, had one of the best seasons in school history. So, Robbie, maybe Kentucky Purdue try horseplaying some more this season.
Well, and right with that flight, right, it was already almost halfway there, and it turned around and went back.
Yes.
To the original takeoff point. So they didn't emergency land. They didn't even just get to Houston. They went back to where they were, where they took off on a half. They already went halfway there and halfway back.
Yeah. And I apologize. I'm remembering the top of my head. I don't think the pilot said horseplay, but Jeff Goodman tweeted out the plane landed because of horseplay. That's what it was.
That was the report.
Yes.
They were just goofing off, just to back the plane. What are you going to do about it?
But, right, there was some bloody – a player had drawn blood.
Well,
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, horseplay it's just hilarious because there's no way it was horseplay. There was
and then one player that
brawl.
the horseplay got benched the second half because he tweeted at halftime some emoji, which is just again
Shout
that guy.
Gosh.
Some other funny moments for the season. There's another early one in the year. Brandon Garrison against Jackson State. Some Jackson State player lost his shoe and chucked the shoe at the ball to try and block Brandon Garrison's shot. That was just Brandon Garrison. Honestly, it's just funny all the time. Shout out to him.
BG baby.
BG Island. God bless him. Another one. Shout out to Omaha Trash Can. I just love that story so much. It was I'm spacing on his name, but again, it was a coach that was alma mater, longtime assistant. It was like this big sentimental story, and then they banged trash cans after. It was just so perfect. A couple more. Nebraska basketball in general. Again, we mentioned the No Big Ten tournament, and they won the crown. Shout out to them. And don't forget when Julian Reese chirped the crowd because he made the second free throw after missing the first, so the crowd did not get free Chick-fil-A. He made sure to let them know. So just a fun year of Nebraska ball. Tennessee went 1-2 against Kentucky and did not make the Final Four. We have to tell what the one win they got. They still have 0 Final Fours.
Wait, they haven't made the Final Four?
No, that's what's crazy. They have tied from those tournament appearances, Robbie. With Final Four. Is that crazy?
That's crazy. I never would have thought that.
At least they have Nico, so they have a lot of things going for them right now. But of course.
No, they don't have Nico. No. Nico has them.
He's a member of he is a native of Los Angeles these days.
Indeed.
But of course, the funniest man of the year, none other than Doug Gottlieb. What a performance he put on this year.
Oh boy, claps for Doug.
Doug, the content he provided. My personal favorite was him being on Radio Row in the Super Bowl with his team being like 3-30. It was so glorious.
And
Thank you, Doug.
in last second moving practice. Like team
Yeah.
was in the locker room getting ready for practice. He's like, by the way, we're pushing back a couple hours a day.
He's interviewing the Buccaneers running backs, but he can't be with his team as they're dead last in the horizon or where they're in now. It was so good. Thank you, Doug.
Jeez.
I can't wait for next year. And those are I don't know if I missed anything big, but those were the ones that just came to my mind.
Those were some good ones. Yeah. Anyone else have any moments or surprises, disappointments, things you remember for the year? Dustin?
I mean, just to start the season off real quick. I mean,
Sure,
the
Jake,
irony of Tony Bennett quitting in late October and retiring. I mean, just a shock to myself and those close to me who were part of that staff, and just not realizing that had turned. And I think it also is just the irony of all these coaches that were once, especially us as growing up and who are the kings of college basketball in terms of the coaching world. Is Izzo the only one left?
I mean, Pitino's back. Pitino's around again.
Cal.
But still, Cal Pitino dove into the recruiting world and dove into the one and done systems. And it's like they've evolved
They've
over
been around for a long time, though. Jake.
No, yeah, but I was more of like the Bennettts, the Jay Wrights, these guys that are saying, "Hey, you're coming here. I got your son for 4 years," and so like that was kind of their pitch to grow their program. I mean, Painter, I guess, would be one that's still around. So I guess there's more than I was thinking of, but yeah, just Billy Clyde
still going.
Oh, my last funny of the year. Oh no, that was last year, wasn't it, Robbie? Grand Canyon student section getting outsourced to come represent their students.
Unfortunately, that was last year. Yes.
Dang it.
Not this year, but still great regardless. Dusty, you have something?
Oh, yeah, I mean, disappointment of the year has to. I mean, just to be serious for a second, it has to be Kansas. Going from number one in the country, losing the first round with
second year in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, with an Arkansas team that was in turmoil most of the year. So congrats to Cal for getting that done. And I saw you guys will know better than me because I don't follow the portal that well, which is funny because my second thing has to do with the portal. What's his name? Just answered went into the portal again today for Kansas.
Or no,
yeah,
Haggy from Memphis did too.
Yeah. So a big day for that. So just a fun year, crazy year, which we expect every year in college sports, especially again with the transfer portal. Keep watching this. My shout out, my end of year shout out, is a living person. When we do our next summer show, I will have I have a good deceased one that we'll get to. R.I.P. Robert Davis Jr. Do you guys remember him from UMass by any chance? Probably not. Probably not. Another Cal Party shout out. So he was at Old Dominion this year. Led the nation in 3-point attempts per game. He chucked up Jake Mills' numbers, 10.2 a game.
Holy moly.
One of three. So 33%. Average 15.6. I've been researching, again, you guys are the portal experts. I'm not. I have not seen his name in the portal. But you got a guy who's ready to just chuck like that. You get him in a system where he's playing the Klay Thompson role. Keep your eye on Robert Davis Jr. So God bless you from Detroit, Michigan, Hamtramck High School. 6'6", 175. He's only going to be a true junior. So look for Robert Davis Jr. I would assume someone if I can find him in 35 inch, you'd think some high level person would be like, hey, this guy likes to shoot. Can we put an offense around him? And put him in an offense. So that's my shout out to the end of the year, Robert Davis Jr.
Throw Trace and Eaglestaff in there too. Decommitting from South Carolina.
Correct.
Scored 40 for North Dakota against Alabama. I wonder where he's going to go next. I don't
know about a guy that lets it fly.
Yeah, Splash Brothers right there.
Very much so. Also, I
would say, Robbie, another funny that we just missed in the last 48 hours, I believe. But I mean, Charlie Ward Jr. becoming the coach at FAMU.
Crazy
is just.
I don't think that's funny. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
I think it's more just the irony to me.
Yeah, funny, cool. I would say that's cool. Not yeah.
It's been.
I was gonna say, Robbie, for those that don't know, tell them.
Yeah, it's been cool to see. It's cool to see all these former players get chances to coach in college. For those who don't know, Charlie Ward, played his college football and college basketball at Florida State, eventually played in the NBA, was good enough to play in the NFL, and ultimately chose his world in the NBA, played for the Knicks for a long time. So, yeah. So, Jake, you might want to check your phone or just make sure that Dusty's all good to go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, good. All right. So, but also another big, I think, selling point as well is the COVID year's done. So now you're going to have true 4-year players. I think there's some push to get a 5th year at some point into the mix, but the COVID year guys are finished in college basketball now. I don't know how Chad Baker-Mazara still has a chance to be playing college basketball at 26 years old, but crazy, nuts. So,
thank God. It got so hard to keep track of who's coming back and who's not coming back. I'm glad that's finally over.
Yeah, seriously. So the portal has been fascinating, seeing who's leaving, who's going. I think maybe one of the more surprising ones was Trey Holloman going from Michigan State to NC State. I mean, Will Wade gets his tough as nails, hard-nosed point guard. So I think.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even put that together. That's Will Wade now.
Yeah.
Oh lordy, that just completely makes a little more sense now about the move. But
right.
that completely went over my head.
Purdue obviously landed one of the big fish in the portal pond, which was Oscar Clough coming from South Dakota State. While we talk Purdue and kind of talking national championship, do you know who currently has the best odds to win the national title in 2026?
Duke.
I would guess Houston, but
Duke is second, Houston is third.
Oh, let me get my futures in already again.
Purdue currently has plus 950 odds to win the national championship. That is the best odds currently on FanDuel, which is crazy.
I love this as a season recap, and Robbie just keeps bringing up Purdue's 2026
team. Look at
next
year, baby. We're going to Indy. We'll see you there.
It's the most IU Purdue move I've ever heard in my life. Next year's our year.
Talk about this year. The season's over. It ended 3 weeks ago. I don't care if we lost on an inbounds play to Houston. This was not the year. Next year, this year, now is the year. It's coming home. We're winning the national championship this year. Mark it down, clip it, post it, send it. Purdue's winning it all.
Oh, no, you sound like English soccer now, Robbie. You said it's coming home. Oh, no.
And at some point it will.
Coming home to an address it's never been to.
It might. 1932, it did come home. But, I mean, that wasn't the true tournament championship.
You know who didn't come home in 1932?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, boy.
I digress.
World War II had not started yet, Jake, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to make a World War II joke, you're incorrect.
I was just putting it out there.
The Archduke, whoever started World War I, that guy who got assassinated.
Archduke Ferdinand, right?
Yeah, that guy. He didn't come home. There we go.
By the way, speaking of portal talk, Kentucky, landed some good staff. Purdue's got a hell of a guys coming. I'm assuming you guys saw Xavier Lee coming.
Big pickup
to
from Princeton. Yep, that was a logical fit there. I mean, that was never him to St. John's never made any sense. It was like he's going to Florida.
Oh yeah. Well, again, now you get to reunite with his high school teammate as well as his Canadian 19 teammate in Oliver Rue, our 7'9" monster who I can't wait to see what happens with him.
If he actually plays, I'll be shocked. I legitimately will be shocked.
My guess is he'll be under 10 minutes a game this section. You got to just try it. You got your natty. You got your team. You got this whole thing going until January. You say, okay, I'm giving you 10 minutes a game, and going to see out there and see what goes on. Hell, sit in the zone.
Yeah, that's what I figured. They're probably going to play 2-3 zone. He's just going to sit in the middle of the zone. It'll be very Taco Fall UCF from that 2019 season, if I had to guess.
Can I just say in a vacuum, it's hysterical to think about Xavier Lee. He has a year left from a Princeton degree and said, screw that, I'm going to University of Florida. Not that Florida's that academic school, but the idea you're a year away from a Princeton.
Yeah, I wonder how those credits transfer over.
In any other walk of life, everyone's calling you a moron. But in this instance, it's a great move. So I just love that so much. He's a
great player. It makes a lot of sense. So it's a good fit. It's a good spot for him. Florida, that's probably one of the best pickups you can find in the transfer portal.
I think they got 2 more coming. AJ Brown, and I think PJ Haggerty has got his eyes set on the Gainesville.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, the portal continues to make waves in both college football and college basketball. So, if you like keeping up with like NBA and NFL free agency, the portal is for you.
What do we? I mean, Robbie, it's more kind of on your end. I don't know. We know when the portal opened, which is a topic of its own despair. And I'm sure there's not necessarily a close on the portal, but when do you remember even from last year, like when we kind of see these things kind of, again, there were 700 and some players. Like, when do we get down where there's only 30 guys left in the portal? Like,
it's supposed to start. Yeah, it's supposed to start stopping this week. I thought you can get into the portal up until the end of this week, if I was not mistaken.
Gotcha. Okay,
but that may change. I feel like the NCAA blinders are on, where it's just do whatever you want. We don't care.
That implies they have blinders. Implies that they have eyes and vision, which they don't have.
Also, a good point. Very well said. We are next year's going to be a blast. We have no idea what next year is going to look like. Houston's probably going to be pretty dang good. Purdue's probably going to be pretty dang good. Stojakovic is entering the portal, so that's a big. I mean, he was great for Cal this past year. So yeah,
we've not mentioned the biggest transfer news. Nathan George to Syracuse.
So are you going to be a Syracuse fan next year? Then?
I'm on the Syracuse train. They're
Big Orange.
Here we go.
Whoa.
Big Orange.
The George Dome is coming.
This past year, it was Dan Skillings in Cincinnati. Next year, it's going to be Nathan George in Syracuse.
No, I will not hype him up like that because I don't think Syracuse. I can't think of his name. I don't think he gives me Kenny Payne vibes.
Who's the head coach of Syracuse? I can't remember his name.
The former player.
What's his name? This is
Jerry It's not Jerry McNamara.
No. This shows how bad he is, by the way. The fact we can't name him off the top of our heads.
Can't bring him off the top of my head. No.
Adrian Autry.
Yeah, there you go. Adrian Autry.
Okay.
I will not hype him up like Cincinnati.
Well, I'm not hyping up Kansas State anymore. I'm done with that. That's not happening again. Do you know Baylor currently has 0 players on their roster?
Oh, I love that.
Every player is drafted or already entered the portal.
Yeah.
And Scott Drew didn't want to come to the Midwest.
All right, but before we get to our last thing, who was the most disappointing team in college basketball this year for you?
Ooh.
Kansas is the easy answer, but they completely implode. So again, if you don't go it's either
Rutgers.
Kansas State or Rutgers for me. The fact that
Rutgers.
the fact that they didn't sniff the tournament's insane.
Yeah.
And the Big Ten was good, but it's not insanely good.
Yeah.
Think of the shame Ben Simmons got when his team didn't make the tournament. All right,
sure.
You have the guaranteed number 1 pick come in. He's at LSU for a year, and you're like, this team can't even make the tournament. And now you have Harper and brain dead Harper and Bailey, who were probably 2 of the top 10 players in the country all year.
Top 5.
I'd say top 5, guaranteed. But the fact that they can't set the tournament is just mind blowing. You're right, and Rutgers has to be the champion of that award. Are we forgetting somebody?
Well, can I give another one? This team I thought could be a national championship team was Gonzaga. The fact we didn't consider them missing a tournament at one point, I never ever thought. I thought they're gonna be a natty team this year, and they just
the numbers never shade away from them though. The fact that they still finished in the top 10 in KenPom.
Okay, cool.
And the fact that
we were talking about them missing a tournament late February, that should never happen.
They were. I mean, they've been starting to do this where they middle around for December, January, and February, and then they kick into high gear into February, into March, and it's like, oh, there's Gonzaga, and that's what they've been doing for the past few years. If they would not have dicked around in January and February, they probably would have been a 4 or 5 seed and made a run to an Elite 8 because they showed in that Houston game, damn, this team is good. But you just ran into a better team, and if they would have played better, they wouldn't have had to see a 1 seed in the round of 32.
Quick question for you guys that we can ponder on maybe even later too, but we make a fun game out of this. Does Mark Few ever leave?
I truly thought that this was going to be his last year at the start of this season.
Yeah, so Jeff Goodman, he made some weird comment at Phil 68. Again, I'm sure he's in the weeds of it for sure. And he made some comment don't be surprised if this is Mark Few's last season. Talk about this past season. And he said that early to mid-February. So I'm guessing that didn't come out of nowhere. So I'm sure that's someone on Few's mind.
Yeah, surely.
Because I got his landing spot if he leaves. Because I'm going to go off Robbie's take that I thought was blasphemy
Wait,
at
you
the
think he's going to
time.
leave and not retire?
If he leaves and does not retire, and Robbie, I'll parlay this with your take about 8 weeks ago that the start of the end for Bill Self at Kansas, that Mark Few goes and takes over at Kansas after.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Oh, that just
We'll see.
How old is he? Would Kansas even want him?
Early 60s, probably.
Yeah, he's got to be early 60s if I had to guess.
I thought he was around Dad's age.
He's 63 this December.
63, you said?
Tito's 73, still coaching.
He looks
I don't think
83.
he'll never leave Gonzaga. He's like Gonzaga through and through. I think he'd retire first.
I think Kansas State has to be in the conversation for most disappointing. Baylor's got to be in there for me as well. I mean, you could even throw in Cincinnati for the hype they had at the start of the season. I mean, again, all these teams that we hyped up at the beginning of the year and just they fell flat. I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head. Georgia had a pretty good team coming in this year, and they looked horrible in the first round of the tournament this year. They were pretty dang talented. I mean, if it wasn't for Arkansas's tournament run, you would consider John Calipari having a disappointing year this year too.
I mean, IU with their portal buy-in.
Oh yeah,
IU's got to be in that conversation too. It's going to be a
Texas had Arthur Kaluma and Johnson.
Texas was. I mean, they'll have a top 5. Yeah, and top 5 pick and Trey Johnson. That's
Illinois might sneak in this conversation as well. I mean, when you start to look at what I looked at them at the start of the year to what they finished at, and by God, they should never play a game at Madison Square Garden ever again, because that was just that's like what I'll remember that team by.
Based on you mentioned Illinois, baseball's team started Oregon. The way they kind of fell off at the end.
What was they won 106 to what was that game earlier in the year, Nick, where we were like, this Oregon offense is unreal, and they scored against Illinois.
Illinois, I think that backwards.
Illinois is the other one.
Yeah, that's what it was. Illinois murdered Oregon, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, Illinois is gonna rinse and repeat, and they got a squad.
I will never pick against Dana Altman in the first round again. Like, Oregon's just going to find a way to win first round games. It is what it is. So, but yeah, I think all those are definite good answers there. So, all right, that'll just about do it. But before we finish things off, this past weekend, probably one of the greatest ends of a golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia, and it just so happens there's 2 people that are currently still with us on this pod that may or may not have been on site and experiencing the Masters. So I just want to hear what the experience was like being at Augusta and getting to experience the Masters, not having your phone with you to experience it all in person. Like, what was that entire experience like for you guys?
Nick, I'll give you the floor to start.
First off, I'll clarify for the audience. Yes, we did go to Augusta, but we pre-planned to only go Thursday and Friday, so we did not see the Magic on Saturday, Sunday, which stinks, but also is cool too because like we still got to be there for the time. At the same time, Rory got the Grand Slam, but truly, Robbie, it lived up to every ounce of the hype, dude. It was so awesome. You mentioned the phones, dude. Like you honestly forget about your phone pretty quickly. The only reason you need your phone or kind of like want your phone is there's not many leaderboards out there. So you really kind of
5 total. I did the research. 5 total leaderboards in 18 holes.
Yeah, so like
and they're not 360. They only face one way.
So yeah, again, Justin Rose is the 3-shot lead on Thursday. We didn't see one shot of him because we didn't quite realize what was going on the whole time. But it truly was awesome, dude. Because again, it's one of the few golf courses I think all of us actually have seen the holes. Right? It's not like Pebble Beach. I couldn't tell you any of the holes, but just being there, it was so cool. I love the Masters. I appreciate it so much more now. I love the food. $1.50 for pimento cheese, 3 for ham and cheese. Shout out Crow's Nest.
How was the tomato pie? Did anyone have that one?
I
didn't dabble into the tomato pie.
Okay,
but
yeah, I had more ice cream sandwiches than I should ever consume my entire life.
I heard good things about those. Marty Smith did an entire segment on that. Looked like he had a blast sampling all those different options.
But yeah, I could not recommend it enough. If any of you listeners ever get the opportunity, I 100% recommend it. It was so awesome. I loved every bit of it.
It's one of those things that you have we found out a handful of months ago we were going. And so you try to do your own like mental preparation of what you think you're going to see, what you think you're going to experience. First and foremost, wear walking shoes if you're there. You can't TV. You see some stretches, and especially once you're there, you kind of notice it on TV a little differently. But it is, Robbie, there isn't a course in Central Indiana with this much elevation up and down. It is one of the most. I mean, it is hilly as can be. It is, 9.7 miles, I think, is what Haley's watch tracked us on Thursday. That's how long we walked throughout the day. It's just this course there's so much more space than you realize. And granted, there's 40,000 people per day that go. And so when you have all this space and all these people and you're gathered around and you're crossing over at some places, you don't realize how much big of land and area this all is, but also how much is tucked away. From Amon Corner, and then you have the one box, 9 green, 18 green, and 10 tee, all within 40 yards of each other. But then you have all this other space around there. And Nick had brought it up, or Robbie had said, Marty, one of the coolest experiences I think for me was we're just some average people, right? We've been blessed to have some opportunities to go attend some cool things. But if I walk into, a suite at the NBA All-Star Weekend, I'm like, yeah, it just makes sense. This is some big power names up here, dressed in a suit, having some nice. They have accommodations that are made for them in terms of certain scenarios. We see Adam Schefter, Marty Smith, Joey Coldcuts from the YouTube guys, Connor Smith, country music artist, Brandon Walker. We had a conversation with. Who am I missing, Nick? Bill Simmons, Joe House, and cousin Sal. But you see them and they're doing the exact same routine in an environment that you are. And I think that's one of the coolest things that I took away from it. It was like, yeah, this is cool to get this golf friend, but holy crap, there is someone who flies private, ESPN studio show, whatever it may be, following the parameters of doing how Augusta wants it to be done and doing it the exact same way. And it just brings this, and everyone's there. It's like everyone's in their best behavior. There's such an understanding of respect and where you're at that, you get these chairs. You may have seen on TV, there's chairs everywhere. You don't rent those chairs or anything. No, you get one from the shop that you get there, and then you put it down wherever you want, and you leave it there. And you come back, and if someone's maybe sitting there for a second, hey, excuse me, we're coming back. Boom, they pop up, and now you get to sit. But the openness and freedom behind just the environment of how people act and treat each other, as well as treat the course and the tournament. It's exactly what you think you would go into. And I'd say even multiply by 2 or 3. And then lastly, my last point is, all you hear and see, it's a beautiful golf course, right? You don't recognize how incredible it is because you don't have a comparison of like a crappy course next to you. Or there's not the one bunker over here. Like, if you're at a course, 2 courses, the back nine's really beautiful. The front nine's No, everything you're looking at is pristine, perfect. And it doesn't look real for certain moments. The terrain and walk, again, there's 40,000 people walking around. You would think there's matted grass everywhere and whatnot, but no, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place that do it their way, and they'll never stop doing it that way. And I think it's one of the best moments, it's definitely one of the best things in sports, but it's also one of the best traditions that you can have and experience. And yes, if you ever have an opportunity, June 1st, the lottery opens up for people to submit. Highly recommend, because if you win the lottery, it's $100 to go. That's it. It's affordable. It's doable. It's just so cool. And to check that off the bucket list was amazing. And yeah, I can't imagine a time where I may be able to go back, but I will definitely take every advantage of doing so. And I did eat some Augusta grass.
There you go.
Shout out to Les Miles. Took a handful of grass and chomped on it on Friday before we left.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, that is definitely one that's on the bucket list for a casual sports fan for sure.
And shout, Rory, that final round was insane. It was
pretty incredible.
It was one of the most memorable final rounds I can remember.
Pretty incredible. All right. Well, that'll put a bow on the second season of the D1 and Done Pod. We appreciate every single one of you for watching, listening, interacting. This man is coming for you. He's coming for you.
Is that signed to you?
It is signed to me. Hell yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
My wife actually got it for me when she was at the Final Four.
What did she have to do to get that?
I don't know. She was at some press event and she saw him and she was like, "Can you sign this for my husband? He's a Purdue grad." And this is what he did. So it's pretty cool.
I love that.
Purdue 2026. Okay, you've made a natty while this podcast has started. Okay, it's time for the cast next year to join you guys' little party. Okay,
you have 30 national championships.
I
Shut
won
up.
this one. What are you talking? Oh, boo-hoo. Okay.
No.
Okay, I lost as many double-digit seasons you have at this point, Bucko.
We've been friends through all of this. Like, we've been supporting each other. But next year, I don't care about Kentucky. I
don't care about Purdue.
You're going to. You're
going
to have to because they're going to be winning it all. So you're going to have to find a way to care about it. Yeah.
Can we just talk about Purdue again on our season recap, Robbie? Let's do it, okay? I'm sick of this. You know what? We have things to bet now next year. By the way, I forgot what bets we have. We have so many bets we've made this year.
Nick's so
they all even out. It all evens out at some point.
Nick is so heated that his shirt came off.
Well, you guys are all doing your thing. I was doing tarps off for
a
sponsor.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Let's end it there before we say anything else that we're going to regret. So, again, thank you all of you for watching, listening, enjoying another great season of the D1 and Done pod. I guess we'll see you for season 3.
Gator go Gator. Hey, any off-season requests, interviews, people, if you guys any ideas, tweet.
Yes.
Speak box, tweet, Instagram DMs, whatever you guys want to do. Speak pipe, right? Not speak box.
Speakpipe.com/D1 and Done pod, yes.
Yep. Send them in. We're going to have some fun, exciting guests lined up out here over the summer. And, guys, thank you for letting me tag along to join this and run it back for year 2. I'm looking forward to year 3.
Can't wait. Year 2 was lots of changes, but I think we're set up great for the future, boys. And Jake, I'm glad you're part of the pod now. Thank you for all the help you do behind the scenes. And
agreed.
You really won a natty, so yay for you.
Next up,
Gator go Gator.
Next team up. All right, y'all enjoy the NBA playoffs. We'll be back for a draft preview at some point. Go Pacers. We'll see y'all next time. Woo!